The suspended hopes of the South Koreans finally shattered. After nearly 2 years of anticipation, they were met with an irredeemable loss. On November 28 local time, during the 173rd General Assembly of the Bureau International des Expositions held in Paris, the capital of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, clinched the bid to host the World Expo 2030. According to Agence France-Presse, Riyadh secured victory with 119 votes. Busan, South Korea, only managed to garner 29 votes, while Rome, Italy, received 17 votes. A day before the vote, South Korean President Suk-yeol publicly convened a cabinet meeting in front of the media, rallying confidence towards victory, a final sprint. In Paris, the frontline was led by South Korean Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, heading a delegation of political and business figures supporting Busan's bid. South Korean expatriates and students in Paris had rented venues, preparing for the upcoming celebratory frenzy. South Koreans had been brimming with confidence, assured of their success. Such a fervor even made Saudi Arabia nervous for their own bid. Following the announcement, members of the Saudi delegation at the venue erupted in jubilation, and online, Arabs celebrated with song and dance. Some Saudi accounts even used Chinese and English for their celebrations. In stark contrast, the previously confident South Koreans, with 119 votes against 29, faced a staggering defeat. South Koreans, poised for celebration in front of their TV sets, were left in tears, shocked, despairing, and unable to believe. In this video, we'll delve into the failure of South Korea's bid to host the 2030 World Expo, discussing the following. 129:29, a narrow loss. The First Lady's efforts, failure and apology, success of Saudi Arabia. News from Paris has stirred up the South Korean media. Reports this morning claim that after 547 days of intense competition, Busan regrettably lost, and Saudi Arabia secured the hosting rights using petrodollars. The South Korean media even used the term narrow loss. South Koreans are skilled in their wording. Despite a 90-vote difference, they term it a narrow loss. Throughout the Expo bid, South Korea's words and actions demonstrated a lack of foresight. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo expressed deep self-blame and apologized to the public after the results came out. Following the realization, some South Korean netizens began criticizing Suk-yeol and his spouse for deceiving the public, creating a false atmosphere. With such a huge vote difference, they still slyly blame it on petrodollars to belittle Saudi Arabia. Suk-yeol's government truly lacks diplomatic skills. In reality, with around 170 ballots in total, the staggering 90-vote margin between the sides should have been evident to any rational country. Suk-yeol had various channels to obtain early insights, such as through the Foreign Affairs Department, Sports Department, or even intelligence agencies. They could have moderated expectations, akin to Italy, emphasizing participation. What infuriates South Koreans is Italy's indifference, yet it secured 17 votes. Despite South Korea's nationwide effort in the bid, it only amassed 29 votes. What's even harder for South Koreans to accept is that these 17 votes were unwillingly directed away from South Korea, even when Italy had abandoned its bid. This voting scenario indicates that Suk-yeol misled the South Korean people, leading to greater disappointment due to heightened expectations. Otherwise, why shed tears? Italians, in contrast, were unaffected. Why does Suk-yeol always bring his wife along when traveling abroad? This approach is unprecedented in global diplomatic activities. However, he has a reason. Geon-hui is responsible for the bid for the Busan World Expo. Although she isn't officially appointed as a bid official, she is the beautiful ambassador who captivates the voting nations. With this justification, Geon-hui travels the world with Suk-yeol, a move seemingly accepted by the South Korean people. Geon-hui's green tag on her clothes and the green tag on her left-hand small bag signify the emblem of the Expo bid, bearing the words "Busan is ready." Suk-yeol aims to make the Expo a political achievement for himself and Geon-hui, intending to leverage the event to spur the South Korean economy once again. In August, South Korean media revealed that South Korea had secured support from the United States, United Kingdom, and France. In September, South Korean diplomats began distributing kimchi everywhere, reportedly to nearly 170 countries. In early November, South Korean ambassador to the UK, Yoon Lee-jae, even presented kimchi as a national gift to King Charles III of England. In late September, South Korean media speculated that Saudi Arabia might secure about 70 votes, putting pressure on Busan. On September 20, Geon-hui headed to New York, participating in the Hal Unite event organized jointly by the South Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. They invited several Hallyu stars to promote the Busan World Expo to various countries. Subsequently, the Yoon Suk-yeol couple, using the platform of the United Nations General Assembly, canvassed for votes from African nations. Every photo opportunity included a backdrop with Busan. In a final attempt on November 26, South Korea arranged the trilateral meeting of the foreign ministers of China, Japan, and South Korea in Busan, aiming to create an atmosphere of major Asian countries supporting Busan. Japan eventually agreed to support South Korea. However, it's uncertain whether Japan actually voted for South Korea, and the United States, United Kingdom, and France did not disclose their voting directions. Currently, only 2 countries are deemed highly likely to have voted for South Korea, Peru and Armenia. However, tallying these votes holds little meaning, and South Korean media doesn't wish to do so. Revealing everyone's cards might embarrass South Korea further. South Koreans never imagined they would lose so devastatingly. Before the vote, South Korea estimated it was roughly 70-70 against Saudi Arabia and aimed to secure other swing votes. The strategic approach in Paris for South Korea was for the United States to prevent Saudi Arabia from gaining 2/3 of the support in the first round, sacrificing Italy to ensure South Korea's entry into the second round and defeat Saudi Arabia. By this point, South Koreans had become overconfident, believing that the United States could accomplish this. However, Saudi Arabia secured the hosting rights with 119 votes in the first round, completely shattering South Korea's strategy. This indicates that the United States didn't fundamentally assist or might have lacked the capability to aid it. On the 29th afternoon, Yoon Suk-yeol apologized to the nation for Busan's failed bid to host the 2030 World Expo. Reportedly, Yoon Suk-yeol mentioned having held over 150 meetings with leaders from 96 countries and conversed with leaders from dozens of other countries. Yet, the voting outcome fell far below expectations, leaving him disappointed, stating, "It's entirely due to my inadequacies in work." South Korean media like SBS criticized Saudi Arabia through the words of a South Korean professor, accusing them of ensuring votes through a financial offensive, giving a sense of buying votes. However, South Korea hasn't spent less in the past 2 years on the bid than Saudi Arabia. South Korean media even linked the disastrous loss to US-China relations, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, alleging these issues affected the voting directions of other countries, blaming others, basically. Moreover, why was Saudi Arabia able to clinch it in the first round? Saudi Arabia's bid theme is "The Age of Change, co-creating a visionary tomorrow." Simultaneously, Saudi Arabia pledges to invest $7.8 billion to build a future city spanning approximately 200 hectares in Riyadh. Is $7.8 billion a substantial sum for Saudi Arabia? It's not about the money. It's Saudi Arabia's sincerity that impressed the member nations. Saudi Arabia's selling points: a tech expo, smart expo, and a future expo. The use of 5G will be a major highlight of the 2030 World Expo. Can South Korea match that? Everyone also believes in Saudi Arabia's superpowers because of China's ability to help Saudi Arabia realize its Expo blueprint. No matter how much the United States assists South Korea, everyone knows the US can't help create a technology-infused Busan World Expo, let alone perfect infrastructure. Moreover, do Western countries like the US need Saudi oil, or do they need South Korean kimchi? In international politics, Saudi Arabia has an advantage over South Korea. It's already been confirmed as a BRICS nation, which grants it significant support among developing countries. With these advantages of Saudi Arabia, competitors can simply give up. Moscow withdrew last year, and Odessa in Ukraine withdrew this year. Italy is merely running alongside, gearing up for 2035. In the face of Saudi Arabia, South Korea's confidence seems somewhat lacking in conviction. However, when have South Koreans not been like this? This extreme confidence is born from extreme inferiority. They interpret statements by Macron, Sullivan, and others supporting Busan's bid for the Expo as a vote for South Korea. Even if Saudi Arabia attended, they'd still say they support Riyadh's bid. In 2012, when South Korea hosted the Yoseo Expo, they felt accomplished, but that was specialized, it's not on the same level as a comprehensive World Expo. Now that they've failed, after the tears, how will South Koreans wrap this up? South Korea really needs introspection. Look in the mirror, 119-29, what does that signify? This is what Yoon Suk-yeol meant when he said upon taking office, make South Korea a global central country. In Yoon Suk-yeol's statement today, there was no congratulation extended to Saudi Arabia. However, Saudis are reveling in joy and aren't bothered by these matters. This is the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. We genuinely appreciate your support.